So, you think your life sucks because your Wi-Fi drops during Netflix? Try being Cable. Yeah, the giant gun-toting glowing-eyed dude who looks like RoboCop had a baby with a gym rat. Underneath all the muscle and hardware, Cable's life is one long cosmic joke. And spoiler alert, the punchline is always pain. Let's break it down. Born as Nathan Summers, the son of Cyclops, the X-Men's poster boy for responsibility, and Madeline Pryor, who was basically Jean Grey's evil clone, Cable never even got a shot at being normal. From day one, his entire existence was a ticking time bomb. Oh, and did I mention he got infected with a techno-organic virus as a baby? Imagine catching the world's worst case of cybernetic leprosy before you can even crawl. And because this wasn't enough trauma for Marvel writers, they yeeted him into a nightmare-fueled run by Apocalypse, just to make sure his childhood included Mad Max cosplay and a daily game of don't get murdered by cyborg warlords. Cable doesn't just fight battles, his entire life is a battle. Against his disease, against time travel paradoxes, against enemies who never stay dead, and sometimes against Deadpool's stand-up comedy routines. If superheroes are supposed to be power fantasies, Cable is a cautionary tale, proof that having all the guns in the world doesn't mean you can escape pain, trauma, and an endlessly broken timeline. Stick around because by the end of this breakdown, you'll see why Cable isn't just unlucky, it's Marvel's cruelest running gag. Cable's tragic comedy starts before he even takes his first baby breath. Imagine being born into a family tree that's basically one big Marvel soap opera. His dad, Cyclops, the X-Men's version of a walking midlife crisis. His mom, Madeline Pryor, a clone of Jean Grey cooked up by Mr. Sinister. But here's the thing, she didn't start out twirling a villain mustache. At first, Madeline didn't even know she was a clone. She was just trying to live her life. Until life, and Scott Summers' terrible decisions, broke her in half and she transformed into the Goblin Queen. And of course, Scott made everything worse. When Jean Grey returned, he ditched Madeline like a bad Tinder date. And the fallout nuked what little chance Cable had at a normal childhood. Therapy? Forget it! Maybe Nathan gets shipped off to a dystopian future instead, where bedtime stories sound like don't get murdered before breakfast. Even when Cyclops eventually learns his son is alive, the reunion is less Hallmark movie and more, oh, you're a warlord now. Imagine looking at your kid and realizing he grew up with a glowing eye, a metal arm, and enough trauma to fill the X-Men's danger room twice over. All because you couldn't sort out your love life. And the part that haunts Cable forever, those broken family ties never really heal. Every scar, every weapon, every grim expression in the mirror is a reminder that he's not just fighting villains, he's cleaning up after a family tree poisoned at the roots. And just when you think it couldn't get crueler, Marvel decided to literally infect him at birth. If being born into Marvel's most dysfunctional family wasn't enough, Cable's baby shower gift was a techno-organic virus. And no, that's not some edgy 90s death metal band. It's a literal infection that slowly turns your flesh into living machinery. For most kids, the worst thing they catch is chickenpox. Baby Nathan Summers, he gets a lethal virus courtesy of Apocalypse, Marvel's ancient survival of the fittest fanatic, who decided this newborn was already too dangerous to live. The infection started crawling across his left arm and side, threatening to consume him piece by piece until he was nothing but spare Terminator parts. The only way Cable survived was being whisked away into the far future by the Ascani, a clan of rebels who basically said, "Congratulations, you're not dead. Now enjoy growing up in a wasteland where fun means dodging cyborg raiders." Great babysitters, right? Here's where it gets cruel. Most mutants use their powers to throw cars, crush enemies, or flex at Comic-Con. Cable, he spends half his psychic energy just keeping the virus in check so it doesn't eat him alive from the inside out. Imagine having God-tier telekinesis, and most of it gets wasted on being your own full-time immune system. It's like if Spider-Man's big responsibility wasn't saving New York, it was stopping his spleen from turning into a toaster. And Deadpool, of course, once put it best. Cable's body is basically running Windows 95, except with more viruses. He's not wrong. Every day Cable wakes up and fights a war inside his own bloodstream before he even picks up a gun. And just when you think that's the worst of it, time itself decides to ruin him next. Most superheroes worry about saving the day. Cable worries about saving all of them. And not just today, but tomorrow, yesterday, and even Tuesday that might exist in some warp timeline. Time travel sounds like a superpower until you're the poor bastard stuck using it. For Cable, it's less heroic journey through time, and more like being sentenced to eternal jury duty in the multiverse's worst courthouse. Let's start with the obvious. Cable was raised in a nightmare future ruled by apocalypse, so naturally, once he grows up, his mission is to make sure that doesn't happen again. Noble? Sure. Possible? Absolutely not. Because here's the cosmic joke. Every time he jumps back to fix something, he just nudges the disaster into a slightly different flavor. Stop apocalypse in one timeline? Cool. Guess what? Here comes another doomsday, this time starring Sentinels, evil mutants, or whatever flavor of extinction Marvel pulled from the hat that week. It's a treadmill of suffering. He can see the future unravel, but he can't get off the ride. Every victory is just another delay. Every fix just a new problem waiting to ambush him. You know how most people stress about missing a flight connection? Cable stresses about creating 3 alternate futures where humanity is extinct before lunch. The psychological toll is brutal. His glowing eye isn't just a visual flex, it's a constant reminder he sees timelines no one else can stomach. He sees loved ones die over and over. He sees worlds burn again and again. And worst of all, he knows that no matter what he does, time will always snap back like a rubber band and slap him across the face. And yet, he keeps trying. That's the tragedy. Cable's entire life is one giant what-if scenario that always ends with blood on his hands. He's trapped in a paradox where effort equals futility. And he knows it. Imagine studying for an exam where the universe rewrites the questions every time you finish. That's his daily existence. Even Deadpool couldn't resist poking at it. Cable's like my DVR, no matter what he records. It's always reruns of pain and misery, and sometimes friends, but mostly misery. It's cruel but accurate. Because for Cable, time isn't freedom. It's a prison with infinite walls. Every jump through history isn't a chance at redemption. It's another sentence added to his punishment. And as if that wasn't enough torment, Marvel made sure every timeline he landed in was drenched in endless war. Because why just ruin a man with paradoxes, when you can also make sure he never stops bleeding? If Cable's time travel curse wasn't enough, the universe decides to crank his suffering up to 11 by making every single timeline he visits a war zone. Forget breaches, vacations, or even one quiet Tuesday afternoon. For Cable, life is just one unending battlefield where the only constant is blood, smoke, and the sound of someone screaming for help. Raised in Apocalypse's dystopian future, Cable never had a childhood. He had boot camp. Most kids learned to ride a bike. Cable learned how to load plasma rifles while fending off cybernetic shock troops. His lullabies were explosions, his toys were broken weapons, and his bedtime stories were about how everything you love eventually burns. That conditioning didn't stop in adulthood. Instead, it became his identity. He doesn't live in wars. He is war. And Marvel never lets him catch a break. Jump to the past, war. Jump to another branch of the future, war. Jump to an alternate universe where he maybe possibly could have found some peace. Sorry, wrong franchise, more war. The guy can't even squeeze without triggering a crossover event that ends with at least 50 bodies on the floor. The worst part is the futility of it all. Cable isn't fighting wars to win them. He's fighting wars to delay the inevitable. Every battle he fights is just another stall tactic against Apocalypse, Sentinels, or whichever megalomaniac of the month is trying to genocide mutant kind. He doesn't get victory laps. He gets 15 minutes of silence before the next gunfight starts. This endless grind chews him up physically and mentally. His body is already half consumed by the techno-organic virus, and the rest is held together by sheer spite and caffeine. His mind is scarred from watching allies die in every timeline, sometimes the same people, dying in slightly different ways. Like history enjoys remixing their trauma for variety. Imagine attending every funeral your friends will ever have, on repeat. That's Cable's reality. And of course, Deadpool had to weigh in. Cable's been in so many wars, his resume just says professional corpse collector. Honestly, if Marvel wanted to torture him anymore, they just make him sit through every Transformers movie on loop. It's funny because, well, it's probably true. Cable's tragedy isn't that he's a soldier, it's that he can never stop being one. No matter where he goes, no matter what year or timeline he drops into, he's always surrounded by carnage. His life is a parade of explosions with no end, no meaning, and no peace in sight. And yet, just when you think he couldn't be more broken, Marvel gives him the one thing even worse than endless war, a family to lose. If Cable's endless war wasn't punishment enough, Marvel decided to twist the knife by giving him a family and then dangling them like bait in front of his face. His origin already saddled him with messy parentage, Cyclops, Madeline Pryor, and that whole clone from Hell Saga. But the true tragedy of Cable's personal life comes down to one name, Hope Summers. Hope wasn't just a baby. She was the first mutant born after Scarlet Witch whispered, "No more mutants," during M-Day. In other words, she wasn't just a child to Cable. She was the future of mutant kind itself. Imagine being told, "Congratulations, you're a dad." Also, this kid is basically the last shred of hope for your entire species. Don't screw it up. No pressure. So Cable does what Cable always does. He turns his life into a battlefield. He spends years jumping through hostile timelines, raising hope while dodging assassins, mutant-hating zealots, and, oh yeah, her literal destiny to either save or doom the world. Hope never gets normal birthdays or school dances. Instead, her childhood looks like survival drills, hiding in caves, and watching her adoptive father patch bullet holes in his own chest. The bond between them is powerful, maybe the only light in Cable's entire grim existence. But that's what makes it so painful, because deep down, Cable knows he's passing his curse onto her. Every time he protects Hope, he also teaches her the same brutal lesson he learned as a child. There's no peace, only survival. In Deadpool's take, Cable raising Hope is like putting Batman in charge of daycare. Sure, the kid survives, but therapy bills are gonna bankrupt the X-Men. Because in the end, Hope isn't just Cable's daughter. She's the reminder that even love in his life is weaponized into suffering. If Cable thought time travel paradoxes and raising the mutant messiah were his biggest headaches, the universe laughed and said, "Here, have Deadpool." Yep, the hardened soldier bred for war somehow got paired with a human embodiment of chaos. And not just once, but repeatedly. Entire comic runs are literally built around the cosmic joke of making Cable a stoic time-traveling warrior. Babysit a fourth-wall-breaking lunatic with a healing factor and the attention span of a goldfish. The clash is brutal. Cable is tactical, disciplined, and dead serious about saving the future. Deadpool, on the other hand, is the guy who thinks mission strategy means bringing chimichangas and a kazoo. Put them in the same room and suddenly the end of the world feels less terrifying than surviving 5 minutes of Wade's commentary. And yet this punishment isn't just for laughs. It cuts at Cable's core. His entire life is about control. Control of timelines, control of battles, control of Hope's future. Deadpool is the antithesis of that. He's uncontrollable, unpredictable, and worst of all, sometimes just right enough to expose Cable's flaws. Imagine trying to drag humanity out of the fire while your partner keeps squirting gasoline around for the memes. The kicker, deep down, Deadpool forces Cable into something he hates: connection. No matter how much Cable resents him, Wade worms his way past the walls, leaving Cable with one thing he never wanted: a friend he can't get rid of. And that's the final insult. Cable isn't just doomed to wars and timelines. He's doomed to babysit Deadpool forever. Or as Deadpool would put it, "I'm the gift that keeps on shooting." At the end of the day, Cable isn't a hero living the dream. He's a soldier trapped in an endless nightmare. One where time is both his weapon and his jailer. Every jump is just another battlefield. Every victory is borrowed time. Every loved one is another target painted by destiny. He fights because he has to, not because he believes he'll ever win. That's the tragedy. Cable has seen the future and it's always burning. The best he can do is delay the fire long enough for someone else to breathe. His glowing eye and scarred body don't make him look badass. They're warning signs, a walking billboard that screams, "This is the price of survival." And even when he finds connection, a daughter, a team, even a lunatic partner, it all loops back into the same curse: war, loss, sacrifice, repeat. Cable doesn't live in Marvel's universe. He survives it. Or as Deadpool might say, If life gave Cable lemons, he'd weaponize them into grenades and still lose the war. But hey, at least he's looking cool doing it. And that's why it absolutely sucks to be Cable.